When you speak with the Italian masters, they always say that a car has to be designed in a few seconds. Otherwise it becomes like a job. That's the inspiration actually connect to the GB and the work we are doing with Bertone. We want cars that a kid can really sketch in a few seconds. Because when you design cars, you put a pen in the paper, and you try to get the feeling of the car, but then you have to all the process to make it work, to make it out there, drivable, that people can experience and so on. So like that has to stay all along the process.
When you start, I don't know if it took you 10 seconds to do it, but that first sketch, that first line, what were you thinking in that moment?
I love that. I always think about that when the CEO sends you a message saying, I want an hypercar that needs to be timeless, needs to be Bertone and so on. If you can picture that in a few seconds in your head, you know that the process is going to be pure. Then you can start to sketch on it. But if you don't have that moment, it's a struggle. I'm really passionate instinct designer, I would like to say. Maybe comes from my Italian heritage, respect to other designers coming from other geographies. But I think in Italy we have this moment that we have to be attached to the project, to feel it, and to maintain this passion all along the process. And we fight to preserve that things, because in an instant, in a technical meeting, someone can tell you, this line can't work. And then you're like, okay, I put all my effort in that line, it's gone. But actually, it's in that moment that you have to start, the fight, and to maintain that line in exact that point, and then try to find a solution how to preserve it, how to balance it, respect to all the other parts of the car. So we wanted to make a horizontal line wrapping all along the car, to also lowering down all the volume of the car and making look wider than usual cars, not just because it looks cool, but because it's more associated to performance, aerodynamic performance as well. He has to create this emotion that more you look at it and more you see the details, you see that there is not only like edges or lines, but every volume is soft in the way to be performant, in the way to be functional. So there is this floating almost front, the same that you can find in the rear and on the side. So everything is more like an inside out in terms of volume. And that is also given by the material that we use during the manufacturing process. The car is in carbon fiber. So of course has to be performant, has to be lightweight as well, aerodynamically hyper efficient, because is a monster in the track. So we had to do that working right and out of performance. And then of course this material also allowed us to create thinner areas in the intakes. That's why you see in the front actually there is two levels generated by aerodynamics, also to create a signature of the car.
Favorite feature of this new car?
For me, it's always the side. I'm old school. I grew up in Italy, learning from. Actually, my teacher was Giugiaroa, was Gandini, was all the masters. So I've been lucky to grow up when they were still working and operating. And they always told me, you have to design the car from the side. The rest doesn't matter.
What color you envisioned when you did the first sketch?
I think we think about Renaissance. As is the reborn of a brand, we actually thought about the color like a light champagne. Can I call it like that? So it's not a gray, it's not a gold, it's not a copper. It's like just a mix of those colors, and burgundy like.
These are your emotions. What kind of emotions you want to provoke for the people?
Mystery as well. The car has to make you curious about it. It's not like a car that you say, okay, I see it. I think that longer you stare at it, and more you are winning the fact that you create an emotion to the person. With Bertone we can, because we have such a rich history that we can really tell a story behind this.
Because it's more like an engineering question, but as a designer, when you heard that they grabbed the V10, which is already a beautiful engine, man, from Lamborghini, and they put these twin turbo things on it, I'm sure you were very excited to. What are you gonna? Can you imagine the feeling? That moment. It's kind of like that feeling with the GT40 Le Mans. They put that massive V8. One is very excited for it. So, I don't know. It could be. I want to know what you thought. When they brought this idea.
I mean, immediately you have to think about the proportion that this engine is going to bring to the car. So we've been discussing a lot about, okay, what is representing this amazing engine? It is also then fine-tuned and tailored for Bertone in principle. So actually, all the car has to be designed around this aspect. So I'm also a big fan of this engine for several reasons. But like the architecture you can build on it is amazing, because you can have this crazy silhouette, you can have this stance, this power, and the car when it's driving, it's not aggressive. It's like elegant and powerful. Combine, what we wanted to design through the lines and the proportion of the car. So on your questions, I love the choice of the engine, because allowed us to don't be brutalist in the design, but still maintain a genuine elegance and proportion in the car by preserving the highest performance and give to the driver really the feeling that can go much faster than anyone else, but still be elegant and timeless in the way. Yeah.
I see like the past and the future in that car. It's an art piece. But when we look like 10 years ahead, what key message you want to transport that people know, that's Bertone?
Yeah, I love this kind of almost surreal moment where you can't give a time to object, but that takes a lot of time to get to the point. And my wish and what we are working hard for is that in 10 years, when you see the cars we are doing, also of course the GB, you need to have this feeling. So like need to have the feeling that you don't know when it's been designed. It's stand the time, so there is always like the fact that it's timeless, of course, and for us it's the most important point.
It was a real pleasure to speaking to you, and obviously about your design, which the sketches are very incredible. We appreciate you here, and thank you. It was a real pleasure.